Today and over the next few videos, I'm going to share a few tips that will help you combat pandemic fatigue. In the last video, we spoke about how water can help combat the emotional, mental and physical signs of pandemic fatigue. And in this video, we're going to elaborate on this further and go into things like water turnover, how to assess our own hydration levels, and how we can sneak more fluids into our diet to help combat pandemic fatigue. If you're interested, keep watching. Hi and welcome back. My name is Dr. Fiona Roche. Today we're going to look at more things that you can do to better cope with and combat pandemic fatigue, specifically from a dietary hydration perspective. Let's get right into it. Now that we know that water is essential for not just our physical health, but also our mental well-being, how can we make sure that we're getting enough of it? You might remember from the last video that in general, 8 glasses of water or between 2 to 2.5 litres of fluid per day is generally agreed upon to be sufficient. And you might also remember that water requirements can vary considerably between individuals according to metabolic needs, environmental factors, physiological states such as pregnancy, lactation or illness, our level of physical activity, medical conditions, renal function, which means kidney function, and prescription medications, all of which can alter our individual requirements. So where exactly does that leave us? Is there anything other than looking at the amount of water that we drink on a daily basis that will help us out? Are there any other indicators of whether we're getting enough fluids into ourselves that we should look out for? Well, one thing is to monitor the colour of urine, which should be pale yellow as opposed to dark brown or dark yellow. Other indicators that we might need to increase our fluid intake include a dry mouth, dry eyes and chapped lips. Thirst alone is an unreliable method to ascertain the adequacy of our fluid intake. This is because many of us have developed a resistance to these thirst signals over time due to past tendencies to ignore these signals. This is especially true for healthcare workers and mothers because frequently we ignore our thirst signal in favor of tending to patients and our children. By the time we actually feel thirsty, we may in fact be severely dehydrated. Therefore, the take-home message is to not wait for the thirst signal and to stay ahead of your thirst. In reality, it all comes down to understanding, to the thinking behind water itself. So what does that mean? Water is best looked at in terms of its turnover within our body, that is, our input and our output. Input is primarily through oral fluids, but it's also worth noting that solid food contributes to our hydration. More specifically, about 1/5 of our daily intake of fluids is derived from solid food. Water output occurs primarily through the kidneys and the intestine. That means through the urine and through bowel movements. Most of us know that already. But water is also lost through what we call insensible losses, from the lungs through exhaled moisture when we breathe out, and also from the skin via perspiration, that is sweating. So this means that although the general turnover of water is around 2 to 2.5 litres per day, your individual circumstance matters, and you can't take this as a fixed number. You may have to step up or to step down your intake according to your own personal circumstance. It is also worth remembering that alcohol is not regarded as a fluid, and I can't stress this enough. This is because alcohol actually causes dehydration. It does this by suppressing antidiuretic hormone, ADH, also known as vasopressin. ADH is a hormone that is produced by the hypothalamus. It is then stored and released by the pituitary gland located at the base of the brain. ADH plays an important role in regulating fluid balance through its effects on our kidneys. It helps the body retain water by reducing urination. The suppressing effects of alcohol on ADH will therefore lead to less water being retained, increased urination, and consequent dehydration. And because alcohol is essentially a toxin, it can worsen dehydration by irritating the gastric lining, causing vomiting with further loss of fluids and more dehydration. So how can we introduce more water into our diet? One way is to make sure to drink at least 1 glass of water with each meal. Keep a bottle of water on the desk at work. Make a habit of waking up to a glass of water. Bring a bottle of water to bed at night and leave it on the bedstand. Always have a bottle of water with you in the car when you're driving. And the other thing would be to eat more fruit and vegetables because their high water content will contribute to your daily fluid intake. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave it at that for today. Don't forget to drink plenty of water. Make sure that if you have any specific medical conditions or if you're taking any prescription medications that could interfere with your electrolyte balance, say, that you have a chat with your own personal physician first about your hydration requirements. Combine hydration with some daily exercise and some good sleep and you're on to a winner. Join me next time where I'll share more tips on how to combat pandemic fatigue. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends. See you next time and stay safe.